is well preserved, who none shall touch except those who are pure. A book well guarded by the Lord of the worlds. This verse came to say that no one be able to touch the Quran in Lohe Mahfuz, in tablet well preserved, except the Mutahareen, that is the pure angels, indicating that the Satans can come close nowhere to the Quran. So this was the allegation laid by the mushriks of Makkah on the Prophet that this is a Satan handiwork. In reply to this, there are various verses. Quran says in Surah Nisa chapter 4 verse 82, Quran says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبُّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوْجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. Do they not consider the Quran with care? Had it been from anyone besides Allah, there would have been many contradictions. Besides this, please let me reply, brother. Yeah. Besides this, what you mentioned, Allah gives the challenge that if you say it's from Satan, in Surah Tur chapter 52, verse number 34, and Surah Isra chapter 17, verse 18, that if all the men and the jinns got together, they would not be able to produce a like of the Quran. Then Allah makes the challenge easier. Allah says in Surah Hud, chapter number 11, verse number 13, I am giving you more material to attack. Allah says in Surah Hud, chapter number 11, verse number 13, if all the men and the jinns got together, they will not be able to produce 10 surahs like the Quran. Allah makes the challenge easier. Brother, do you want to listen to the answer or not?
Yeah, go ahead, please. Sorry. Please go ahead.
You are...
Later on, actually, I just wanted to add.
Brother.
Please go ahead, sir.
Brother,
Later on add it.
This is not a debate time.
No, sir.
It's a question answer time. You finish your question is over. Now listen to my answer.
So should I add it? Then you give an answer that will be easy for me to understand.
But why didn't you add it in the first place?
Because it's now you're telling something, then I have to add it.
So then you go behind the queue and then add. No problem. Go behind the queue and add.
No, because there were many verses which was saying that.
I'm helping you.
Okay. Sorry, sir. Please go ahead.
Furthermore, it's mentioned, Allah makes the challenge easier. Allah says in Surah Yunus, chapter number 10, verse number 38, that if all the men and jinn got together, they will not be able to produce a surah like the Quran. Allah makes it much more easier. In Surah Baqarah chapter 2, verse number 23 and 24, Allah says that وَإِن كُنْتُمْ فِي رَيْبٍ مِمَّا نَزَّلْنَا عَبْدَنَا فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِّثْلِهِ. And if you are in doubt as what we have revealed to our servant Prophet Muhammad from time to time, produce a surah somewhat similar, مِّن مِّثْلِهِ. Not exactly, somewhat similar, مِّن مِّثْلِهِ. وَادْعُوا شُهَدَاءَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. And call forth your helpers and witnesses if there are besides Allah, if your doubts are true. فَإِن لَّمْ تَفْعَلُوا. But if you cannot, وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا. And of a surety you cannot. فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي وَقُودُهَا النَّاسَ وَالْحِجَارَةُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْكَافِرِينَ. Then fear the fire whose fuel is men and stones, which is prepared for those who reject faith. This is a challenge. It's a standing challenge. Many people tried to produce a surah like the Quran, but they have failed miserably. The language of the Quran is so divine, is so pure. Not that people didn't try. When the Quran was revealed, Arabic was at its peak. It was at its peak. The Arabs, they were proud of the language. Allah says, with your language, I have produced the Quran. Try and produce a single surah, somewhat similar, not exactly. And some surahs of the Quran, one surah is hardly 3 verses, hardly 10 words only. Many people tried, they failed miserably. If you think this is from anyone besides Allah, you try and produce a surah. That's the challenge. No one has done it. Neither can you do it. Hope that answers the question.
Thank you. May I make a point clear? We cannot allow one questioner to dominate the whole lecture series in the question hour debate session. But anyone who's interested in a long discussions, this is not the time because we have just 10-15 minutes left for the question answer session. I would request you to kindly frame your question briefly. If it goes more than 4 to 5 sentences, we'll disallow that question and allow the next questioner to put forward the question. Dr. Zakir has a background of this kind of question, and most of the questions which come forward, assume he knows the background, just put forward your question directly to him. Don't give the background. Assume he knows the background and put your question. Yes, sister, mic number 4.
Good evening, sir. My name is Sabina. I'm a student. You gave an example about how we students, the youngsters, shoot an arrow and draw a bullseye. I would just try to make the same sort of allegation to you. You shot an arrow, your arrow, and drew your bullseye. And now, if anybody does not aim where you have aimed before, they are wrong. That, I think, is inconsiderate and inhuman.
Sisters asked a very important question. When I gave the example, people shoot in the air and then draw the bullseye. She's saying and alleging, even I have done the same. And if people don't agree, then I don't agree with them. Sister, please tell me where